why does it even matter if the Rothschild are raping their way into everyone's family? What do they do? Well, they generally get with two people who aren't them before they go back and settle down with one who is them. So they're destroying that family right away. But if they stay with the child, what are their options? If they're targeting people who they want to kill because they're too smart to exist as slaves, and they'll compete with their global racial supremacy, they can do a lot of stuff these days. They have drugs. They drug children through their schools. That means they can legally take their kids and drug them to kill their brains. They can force the child through abuse, sexual, starts in USA with child genital mutilation, and mutilate their genitals and then teach them to worship the Rothschild and be good, productive slaves to the Rothschild. And then go there every Sunday and give them 10% of all their money. And they can abuse them in many other ways too. They can hold the child back when they're targeting people who are smart enough to get to them and see them, and they gotta remove them from the picture. There's a whole lot of things they can do. They can hold the child back. I've known people who force their children to work and then take that money from the child. And if the child ever ends up with anything, they destroy that the child owns. And so they're like forcing them to work for free, and breaking child labor laws. I've seen this happen when the kids are like 8 years old. They're being forced to go work back-breaking jobs, and they don't see a dime of that money spent on anything they want. And then they can do things like organize their school, and if they start doing too well in school, they can take them out of that school. They can be like, no, we don't want him advanced grades and things like that. They can do a whole bunch of stuff, but this is what their people do. They brag they have to kill the best of the other people, and that's how they own everything, right? This is thousands of years. They go around nation to nation, colonizing them, and then they create a slave racial supremacy religion for each new group that they conquer. They got to teach them to worship the Rothschild, but as their gods, and then, but that's specifically for slaves. The rule book is for slaves, whereas the master rule book says go marry and breed with two other people, and then get rid of them and go back to the other. So right away, when they do that, they're destroying the child's chance of any future of having parents. But even worse than only having one parent is having one who is there to drug you and destroy your life and try to keep you out of society, to teach you to be a slave. Like the slave religions teach you lots of stuff, like only find one person and be with that one person, and then they send their people to target you. So that's that one person you're with, and then it teaches you as well to not like look around for alternative options, to have new choice and just accept the first person who offers you sex. Slave book's pretty fucking big, and there's like 18 religions they own. So it's kind of different. Like when they meet different groups of people, when you colonize a place, you have to mix your religion, you're the gods, and you have to mix it with their religion. So the women you left alive and raped, like feel semi-comfortable, with the people just raped and killed their entire family. And then now the child is like half them too, so they can't turn against them. But there's a whole bunch of stuff that they can do in this process. They can make sure the child doesn't have access to proper knowledge. They can make sure the child doesn't have access to proper nutrition to deform it further because it's a halfling. They don't care about that. It's a slave. It needs to just be able to breathe and walk on its own. And somehow we have businesses that are ran by and allow workers to not work, not do jobs properly. It's not a first world nation, but don't tell that to genocidal Nazis who tell you they're gods and the best thing on the planet, or else they're going to have their friend Satan kill you if you don't agree with it, because that could be really detrimental to your health if you're a coward, right? And obviously they're breeding out people to produce cowards, because rising up against people who are kind of not the greatest looking Rothschild. I mean, Rothschild is Mr. Burns and Howard Stearns and Weinstein. So, I mean, they say that's from interbreeding. They have to keep that main family together. So, you know, they kind of got to teach you to not have a choice there. And so there's a hell of a lot of stuff they can do. What they are doing, what we know they're doing, is they mutilate their children at birth out here. Like, these people are rainbow flag from the start. They didn't just become it. They've been playing with babies' wieners since the USA was invented. Since they killed the natives here and replaced them with baby penis lovers that they are. So that's not new, that they're child rapists and prefer male children, don't really like females. Looks like they had a hard time with one group they tried to colonize to touch the females, you know, to touch males, and they opted to do that to their females. But that's the type of stuff they're doing, right? They are doing that. They are. Everyone in this nation is mutilating children, supporting, working with, funding with people who play with newborn male genitals and mutilate them as an offering to the master race. They're gods, my bad. They're gods. It's not a master race, it's a master species. Right. That's what they're going to tell you and beat into your child if you leave one with them. If you neglect your duty as a parent to have children with the proper people, and you just accept whichever thing they throw into your frickin' life, because they're probably not targeting you if you can't, like, figure out that you should do that in the first place. Like, you know, ask a few questions before you have a child with someone. At least ask them their name, something they don't know, you know, probably important to, like, I know me, you know, obviously they send people in my life, I mean, they literally bring them. Like, every time one of the Rothschilds is my male friend, they bring a female who ends up being with me at some point in time. It's a repeat pattern. I think they do this to everyone they're trying to kill off, and they kind of do it to everyone to make sure they're slaves, but it definitely as they're colonizing and conquering places, they have to do that. And I think they've already colonized most places on the planet. They have their symbols in most nations, and most nations worship them and play with children. It's not most people play with children in the open legally. Like, USA is pretty rare in that it's the only nation on the planet that's pedophiles who mutilate little boys who are 1 day old. Like, touching 1 day old males is probably the pinnacle of these people's existence. It's probably, you know, it's like eating bread without butter. You just can't do it. You gotta have the butter. And USA has the butter. It has a butt. But no her. That's one other nation. That's actually rare. that they've found people dumb enough, enslaved enough. But I don't think it's people dumb enough. I think that's more of a sign that it's them, because this is their genetics at play, ruling the earth. So everything you see going on is them. Every nation, you can clearly see. Every candidate on TV right now, you can clearly look at their family and see it's the same people. And you can look at the history and see that it's the same way. And every book everyone reads and claims exist is generally about worshiping them and telling us about them as well, saying that's a good thing and all this stuff. They said so it's good. God people have told us that that is the way you act, because they need little children. They need other people to bring children to them as offerings. So they have the drug thing. They legally drug children in most nations now. I mean, if you don't, come on, you're a sick individual if you're doing that to children. You're touching children's genitals, but just about as sick as drugging children. And then you leave they rape their way into one of your family, leave the child with them, and they'll just treat the child like trash and like abuse it and bring it down to a level of being their slave, instead of even worrying about like the group slavery thing where you go to their racial supremacist organizations and give them all your money and go to war for them and steal more land for them and colonize other people for them. They're doing a lot more than that. They were doing electroshock therapy. I'm sure they were electrocuting people and doing stuff like that long before the drugging thing, for the same purpose. I mean, obviously they were doing that stuff, but it's obvious that they were probably doing that for the same purpose, because what else were they doing before they were doing the drugging? They're doing that drugging now. We can assume they're targeting people, even if you don't sell out to them and sell out yourself by stooping low enough to have sex with one of them. What you gotta do to get into Hollywood, right? That's the whole point of Weinstein. That's the whole reason he's on trial. I mean, their whole little system is on display for how they are and who they've been for thousands of years. And you just gotta put it together real easily that these are the people in control. And then you gotta figure out who the bots are on this planet and who do they work for and how they came about on the planet too. And that's a little bit different thing. But hey, with the help of their pedophile dope dealing hospitals, with their magical voodoo god gang signs all over them, racial supremacy signs and names, with the help of all that voodoo, they could easily disguise things. But you know what? I could easily create a robot that looks like a human, because it's a pretty simple design. The only real issue would be the regeneration, but it shouldn't be too hard. I mean, one thing I gotta think of and actually put some thought into, and it doesn't just come to me because I've never even cared to look into it really. But yeah, it's probably bad news. Probably, I assume once again, to someone's family, they're gone permanently. Arnold's family is dead. They just used him, filled him full of drugs, destroyed his heart, and destroyed his chance of having a human child. Made sure to do that, and then they ditch him. Not that he might not have always been one of them, because they do love that name, Schwartz, and it's always like the deformed. The Rothschilds are always deformed, and it's hard to say Arnold doesn't look deformed, because he does. Although some people might argue that's testosterone and HGH. would have deformed you. But I think he came looking that way. And then he came from a place they recently genocide and colonized as well, Germany. So does he care about his children? I mean, he cares about money. All these people at the top, you don't go anywhere in life unless you care about money. These people they don't care about children. And most of them are having children for the same reason they have children, to have slaves. No one's having a child because they're like, I'm going to create a super scientist or something. We're going to invent Mars. That way we have a Mars to go to someday. No. They're doing a lot of stuff. Like I said, I think it starts with birth, where they're doing, obviously it does. They're openly doing it in this nation. And then one other nation, at least. They mark them as slaves, and then they take them to indoctrination camps. They got a couple of them. One teaches you to worship them, and then the other one teaches you to worship them through their science, religion, nonsense. And just pretty much is like daycare to keep children who are just designed to be slaves out of normal population. So people who are trying to live life don't have to deal with children walking around the streets. That's the only logical reason for school to exist, really, because they're not trying to educate anyone, and they're not trying to say anything. No one's saying anything that even makes sense. They're talking about this stupid moon place for 100 years, stealing everyone's money, and now they has moved on, and the goldfish are like, oh, Mars. It's like, no, what about the moon? Thought you're gonna go there and you run your mouth about that. Why don't we go to the North Pole and hang out with Santa Claus? We've been talking about that for thousands of years, man. We should do that. Shit, you should go there before we go to the moon. But now you're talking about Mars. Man, it's all that important stuff, but it's a lot deeper if you're around them. Like, they are there drugging you, like your parents. If one of them, they're going to force drug you when you're in school because they've used their government to be able to do that. That's legal. According to the world's largest terrorist organization, USA, that is legal to drug children, mutilate, and play with their sexual parts at birth. That's legal because they were once the world's leading killers, and the people they work for are the world's leading killers and have been for thousands of years. They have killed off most people and enslaved them and replaced them with bots, apparently. I'm assuming that's part of it, but we got a lot of issues here. And the humans are, well, maybe I'm biased because I'm in pedophile fucking drug fucking addict paradise, USA. Obviously, there, doesn't go well having, the discussion, like, sitting down like Chris Hansen with them and being like, I got you on video here raping 100 children a day for the last 300 years. Kind of pointless to do that, right? You can always hope there's people here who aren't bots and aren't them. But at the same time, you can also think realistically that you might have to go looking for outside help to solve this problem. Obviously, it started with them coming in here and killing the natives and raping the few of them they left alive. So USA is kind of built upon the Nazis spreading their disease the way they do it. And obviously when they bring slaves over, they don't teach them anything of value. They keep them down at that low level, and it's not like they're trying to put Native Americans in school or anything, or teach them how to do anything of value. So, just like the recent slaves they brought over, wherever they actually came from, I suspect that some of the slaves they've been bringing over are actual bots they've been creating. They've probably had this technology for thousands of years. So we might be able to send certain groups out here. There's a reason why these ugly motherfuckers are trying to keep us away from people we want to be around. People have a brain and aren't trash. And I don't know, there seems to be lots of people they're trying to keep me apart from. Pretty much, maybe I just magically happen to choose the only living people on the planet in my little attempts to talk to people. But I don't know, it's pretty sick. I don't know, who am I talking to? As long as I'm on Western media, I'm talking to the pedophiles and the fucking terrorists who have been fucking drugging me and fucking trying to kill me, aren't I? And so, hey, that's why it's always good to test what's going on. And like COVID was pretty good because we got everyone to don their Rothschild mask and show their allegiance towards the aliens. And so when that happened, we had like the entire nation who became fucking mindless bot killers openly trying to enslave me for them, and now they can no longer lie and deny that that's the entire thing they've been doing all along, while they've been trying to drug me and prevent me from going anywhere in life or dating anyone I want to or talking to anyone I want to. Now since COVID, we have those admissions, which is good because I didn't really think that was going to come from that. I'm asking for all that to happen, but I thought people would rise up against the aliens, and instead they all stopped lying like the sissy little bitches they've been the whole time about not worshiping the government and the devil's fucking. I didn't think they'd do that, but they were tricked into fucking raising their fucking devil flags, that's for sure. Something fucking subverted that whole thing so it made the game last longer, because I was looking for help. That was the point of asking for most of that to happen. I was looking for people to help fight the group, and instead, I guess I got 400,000 hours left. The game it has a stupid laid out storyline, and technically that's the year I'm given sight, so I'm literally like a newborn in 2020. And we got the whole stupid game left out, but it does turn out interesting how that was played to force them to like don their Nazi armor, where just days before, for every minute, everyone was in denial that they were a Nazi terrorist, pedophile son of a bitch. And I was just ignoring the facts that we already had that evidence stacked fucking high. Stacked up on every fucking corner around here, dude. Fucking, how high does it need to be? I almost feel as dumb as a human failing fucking school, failing kindergarten and math. I guess they're smarter now because the game updated them sometime around 2010 and made the bots fucking able to read and write, so now they can come online. It's an amazing feat. Makes them stupid, and then it gives them a little bit of ability in order to progress the illusion of technology advancing, which is obviously part of the storyline. If it has to force it, because it never fucking updates them with anything. Most of the people I've met are saying the same damn words they fucking said 40 years ago. It's like a broken record, like I'd fucking seen that when I was like a fucking 7 minutes old. I was like, damn, man, I've only been here 7 minutes, and these motherfuckers are repeating every goddamn word over and over and over. Fucking COVID was an interesting change because they actually did teach them some new words too. And looking back, obviously a bigger change was when it taught them how to speak or read and write when they didn't know how to at all. And but the COVID thing like updated them to make them think they knew something about health instead of just reading and writing. And now they actually must have read something, or at least watched it on TV and learned it for once. But it took that from them, right? You guys know what I'm talking about, right? Like, none of you guys remember 2020, do you? When your cities were being burnt down and you were poisoning yourself and you were enslaving each other and threatening to kill and enslave anyone who didn't do everything you say in the open, and putting on the Nazi, what's that called? When attire, not the correct word, but close enough. Putting on the Nazis, yeah, attire is gonna mask. Attire, whatever, whether it's a flag or a brown shirt and it's a fucking white mask, same fucking thing. But everyone acts like that just didn't happen, and I really think that's because it's erased it from their memory, though, isn't it? Because you remember, does anyone else remember when 90% of the world was illiterate in the 80s and 90s? And almost no one was passing reading with acceptable grades, yet alone math. Math was like some unheard of foreign language. You can't learn English. You definitely can't learn a secondary language like math. But it just magically all updated them like that. Pretty interesting. It's almost like it's a whole game designed to be this way, and well, that would mean that the game is designed fucking hell of a lot of people as terrorists, devil enslavers, and giving me powers to cancel Earth at fucking on whim. I don't know why it hasn't. Like, I mean, obviously there must be some limits there and shit. And we gotta sit around and play games and shit with fucking inbred mutant retards and their pedophile fucking bot soldiers. Fucking shitty ass game. Boring as fuck. I mean, you're literally here having sex with yourself. If you hug someone, you're hugging yourself. If you love someone, you're loving a material robot. A robot. You're loving a calculator. Not even a calculator. Calculators can do math. You're loving a toaster. You're having sex with a toaster. And all the energy is you. That's weird shit. That makes this place like pretty sick, but it's like that was becoming obvious that like my interactions, only emotions were me. The only energy coming from those things was me all the time. I mean, they were just fucking laying there, fucking like fish, fucking shit. One was speaking some alien language and shit, dude. It's crazy shit. What do they call that? Like speaking in tongues? Bitch was gone, dude. She didn't even remember that night either. I mean, brain was toasted. Fuck, dude. Anyways, fucking, it's kind of old and played out, right? 7 minutes into the game, it's already the same words everyone's saying over and over and over and over and over. And they're just now catching up with what I did when I first came here. And it's like, I'm beyond it. Like, I puppeteer them and I fucking speak through them, speak to myself through them, using telepathy. We don't need the internet. We don't need phones. Fucking, what's a phone? Damn, dude, that's for fucking retards, ain't it? Phone calls. Always has been, too. I always fucking thought that was pretty backwards and shit. Have to sit around and listen to them repeat. Someone repeat the same 7 words that everyone else has been repeating fucking on repeat for fucking 100,000 hours so far. That was always where it's like, huh. like I said, dude, it took 7 minutes to realize this place is fucking fake and the things here are like either mentally, they tell me they're mentally retarded and stuff, so you gotta like, care for them and stuff. AKA, let them rape you and enslave you and fucking your whole life and force fucking mutants to fucking have sex with you and shit like that. Yeah, we're done taking care of fucking retarded mutant fucking terrorist sons of bitches, I'll tell you that. We're done playing their game, so I'll tell you that. Fucking, I guess I'm still forced to play this stupid fucking game, but I'm pretty sure it's like constantly telling me like not to be all fucked up about it, but it's like I'm still forced to be here. So yeah, we're gonna be fucked up until this place is gone completely. That's gone. That's that. Like, I shouldn't be trapped here against my will, against a bunch of fucking terrorist bots, and terrorist bots shouldn't fucking exist either. So, one end of the problem has to be solved. Until then, we have to be strong in our decision to note and that they've chosen war a long time ago, because, well, it's all they know. I mean, why is the game designed, Koopa, to fight and not do anything of value? Why is the game designed, Koopa, to look like a fucking pukey little mess who has to go around raping princes and kidnapping princes and princesses, kidnapping royalty and raping them in order to get sex? Why does the game do that? I don't know, man. Why does the game not allow you to exit? That's only the real answer, obviously. Why would you create a trash planet fucking where that seems real and it's full of trash that it says gets burnt by the fucking sun and the weather and just the whole place shut the fuck down? Obviously, fucking game, but why can't you leave the game? That's the only real answer. And the only thing I can think of is because it like forces what you need. Like if I went around and try to have fun in my life and just enjoy being a fucking human, like you can't do that shit in my position. You can't just be a fucking breeder who fucking some fat cow enslaving me. I can't do that anyways. Not quite like that, but it doesn't allow me the other option to have anything of value in that area. Because, the aliens, the human bots are working with, are worshiping and allowing them to interfere with my life. Well, you guys have fun raping your children in America. Hopefully we can put an end to all this fucking shit. Sort out who's real here and fucking get rid of the ones who aren't. Fucking, because this is nonsense, having to be born in this and then having to be born directly into the fucking devil bloodline themselves just so I can fucking see everything they're doing and shit and watch it from the inside. Fucking associated with it from the first days I started walking outside of my house.